Movie review, Love in Every Word 2, The Wedding starring UZOR Arukwe BAMBAM, Patience Ozukwur, Thelma Chukwayam, Chris Atao, Osarim Inigbenibur, and more. Synopsis. As love blossoms into the forever they once dreamed of, Chioma and Obiora stand at the edge of a beautiful new beginning. But when secrets from the past and familiar faces resurface, their love is tested in ways they never imagined. In a journey woven with passion, forgiveness, and destiny, they must discover whether love is strong enough to heal old wounds and write the ending their souls have always desired. My observations and thoughts. The queen of sequels strikes again. When Omoni Aboli first announced that Love in Every Word was getting a sequel, I honestly didn't think Part 2 was necessary. I even made a post about it. But hey, she's called the queen of sequels for a reason. And look at us now. Love in Every Word 2 is one of the most talked about movies on YouTube, with Part 1 boasting over 28 million views. That's no small feat. To the sponsors and product placements, let's give credit where it's due. The brand collaborations were everywhere. But surprisingly, they were done tastefully. The product placements blended in well and didn't interrupt the flow of the movie well, mostly. It felt like a show within a show, but in a good way. The runtime, 3 hours, 1 minute, 49 seconds. Now, let's talk about length. Over 3 hours. Personally, I think the movie overstretched itself. I had to watch certain scenes at 1.25 times speed, not because I wasn't interested, but because some moments just dragged. Of course, not everyone agrees. Many fans didn't want it to end and are already calling for Part 3. Odogwu the supportive king. One thing that really stood out for me was how Odogwu supported Chioma's business journey. We rarely see husbands cheering their wives' hustles on a screen, so watching him stand by her and help her thrive was refreshing and admirable. Chioma's perfume launch scene, okay, I tried to avoid this, but let's be honest. From the perfume launch scene, I was already fighting to stay patient. The exaggerated pronunciation, the forced pauses, I had to increase my playback to 1.5 times speed just to survive it. Call me Akbar, I know send, but those scenes and the dragging of words wore me out. UZOR Arukwe Masterclass Performance. I made a post about UZOR Arukwe's versatility, and I'll say it again, nobody could have carried that role like he did. It wasn't just about having the Igbo accent, it was about carrying Bam Bam. Whoever handled casting knew exactly what they were doing. Without him, this sequel and even the Mean movie might have fallen flat. I-Fi a real MVP. Let's give Osarim Inigbenibur I-Fi her flowers, actually, give her the whole garden. She embodied her character with grace, loyalty, and just the right amount of drama. I loved her presence in every scene. Solid performances overall, the cast did a great job. There was laughter, chaos, an emotion, a beautiful mix that kept the story alive, even through its slower parts. Some questions I couldn't ignore. Chris Ato's character, why exactly? Bringing Chris Ato into this sequel didn't really add much impact for me. Odogwu is wealthy, Chioma isn't materialistic, so what exactly was his purpose? Odogwu's accent dilemma. At one point, Odogwu spoke fluently without any accent. In another scene, the accent came back thick. So, who exactly is Odogwu? A little consistency or attitude tweak would have cleared the confusion. Was Achalugo teaching him how to speak, or was he consciously doing so for his love? The wedding scene let down, all the wedding scene. For all the wealth Odogwu showed us, the wedding felt underwhelming. Where were his friends, business associates, or even Chioma's people? Why was Odogwu the only one spraying money at his own wedding? The grandeur just wasn't there. I expected more. For the sponsors again, I actually liked how the sponsors were woven in naturally. No forced ad breaks or awkward plugs, just smooth product placements. Kudos for that. Chioma and Lolo's sudden friendship. How did Chioma suddenly open up her entire life story to Lolo, a total stranger she just met at a resort? No build-up, no tension, nothing. That scene felt unbelievable. Chioma's traditional look versus Odogwu's outfit, Odogwu's red attire, and Chioma's pink didn't quite blend. I preferred Chioma's premiere look. That one would have matched Odogwu's vibe perfectly. What exactly does Odogwu do for a living? We still don't know. They keep saying he owns businesses, but which ones? Construction, real estate, import-export. We needed clarity, but yet again we enjoyed the wealth fronting without explanation. Final thoughts, love in every word. The wedding delivered what it promised: love, drama, beauty, and a few tears. But personally, I still prefer the first part. This sequel tried to fix some issues from part 1, yet it came with its own share of flaws. It's enjoyable, yes, but not unforgettable. My rating, 6/10, watchable. Beautiful moments. But the first part still reigns supreme. This is the best review I have seen for this part too. Well detailed and unbiased. I agree with everything you said, and yes, the ads placement was beautifully done. The rating is perfect. It's a beautiful feel-good movie, and I enjoyed it. Yes, I forwarded some scenes as well. But it's a good watch. You see that Chioma opening up to Lolo? Leave that part. I have seen people within 30 minutes that will tell you their whole life. That part, I felt she just needed someone to talk to out of friends and family, and Lolo was just there. The trad for me was flat. I was expecting something like the wedding party of Banky and Adejua. I didn't really feel the intense of the ceremony. For Odogwu, I give him his flowers because I was always laughing hard when he speaks. I'm very sure all the laughter Chioma laughed were so real. The timing was long. I felt like forwarding, but I didn't want to miss any part as well. 2 hours will be boom. For that her ex, I don't really know why they brought him. They made the movie really long. Even if I know some men, even when you marry, they will still shook head inside. You said it all. The beginning of the movie was a turn off. Achalugo's stretching of words. Runtime of 3 hours all. What Odogwu does for a living, Odogwu's friends or business associates not attending his traditional marriage, etc. A lot was off, but the movie was enjoyable. Odogwu carried this movie on his head like Achalugo matter. The way he was supporting Achalugo's business was the way he was also supporting her role in this movie. UZOR is a good actor 10/10. I find the real MVP. I sure love the lovey-dovey, Odogwu vibes in this movie, but I prefer part 1. I won't be surprised to see part cause they mentioned white wedding, and Achalugo went to fit a wedding gown, so that movie is overrated. Too many sponsor, maybe they had so much to spend. The movie was too dragged. 3 hours and no tangible twist. Patience Ozuquer was a bit cold. I expected more from her. Chris Atto really didn't give his best, even though he is a calm actor, and his dressing was very poor. UZOR Arukwe didn't give the spark he gave in season 1. Their outfits for traditional wedding marriage is very poor. I expected some glamour with the Odogwu flying up and down, who built a house just to ask a woman to marry him. The one that threw me off was Chris Atto, wearing a China packet shirt and poorly made blazers, bought a G-Wagon for Bam Bam. Not even a C300. To make it look real. Omoni was overexcited with the numbers anyways. Kudos for their efforts. I'd rate it for 10s. 6/10 is too low, but I always fast forward movies, especially Nigeria English YouTube movies, but you see this 1/10 for me every minute of the 3 hours deserve to be watched. You didn't add the part Chioma went for a getaway planned by I-Fi just to end up alone as a heartbroken girl. Licky. Alone. I would literally leave the next day if I realized my friend that suggested a getaway isn't here with me and I am walking by the beach alone, not to talk of being so free to open up to a complete stranger and be that nice. Oh well, it's a Nigerian movie, so love your review. I think Chris Atto didn't know Odogwu was rich, being that he knew her when they were in school. It felt like, let me come and show her how rich I am now, and I was so glad how it turned out. I wasn't really a fan of the first movie. I was really asking myself what all the hype was all about, and this one you rated here. It's a big no for me. Thank you very much for saving my data once again. 3 hours co. Apt review. 3 hours movie was just frustrating. Chris Atto's inclusion was irrelevant. Could have reduced the movie to 2.5 hours. I didn't feel the Odogwu class of wedding considering the wedding deliberations they had. When the movie began with Achalugo's dream, Odogwu spoke normal English, so I thought he will upgrade himself during the movie, but there was none like that. You forgot to touch on their chemistry and their kisses. For Bam Bam's exaggerated pronunciations, the least said about her, the better. They nearly got me with first seen the dream, but they am no fit hole me with that perfume launching. Hopefully, in 2 months, thankfully the festivities is within, I can be so less busy and bored to watch both parts. Thank you. I found it a bit too long, but that's just me, and I had to fast forward a couple of times on scenes that I felt were a bit dragged out. I almost stopped watching in the beginning after Chioma's dream when he spoke fluent English. I would have loved to see Chris' character try and steal Chioma from Odogwu as someone maybe more wealthier. The wedding at the end was a no for me. Should have been a lot more grand, but I am a sucker for romance, so I did like the movie. However, I agree no part 3 a baggy don't do. Would even have preferred if they left it as a part 1 only. Agree with you, Han. I was disappointed with the cliché storyline and the underwhelming wedding scene. UZOR Arukwe was amazing, though. I-Fi was good, but I felt she overshadowed Chioma at times. Great performances from Chioma's mom and Adaku. Your number 5 question, that could happen in reality. I've seen people share their personal lives with strangers just to let off to pent-up steam or tension. I mean, that's a stranger who you would possibly never run into again, or even remember their faces if you met them a second time. 6/10 both, part 1 and 2, that's about it. Omoni tried to stick to the storyline so that it must flow and follow. After engagement comes wedding. And as a typical African story, we all know family and ex-drama comes prior to the wedding, so it was just our everyday story trying to get the mother-in-law approve of her daughter-in-law because of her past. Chris Atto was the surprise ex we didn't get to see in part 1, who apparently disappeared and disappeared again in part 2 after Achalugo turned him down. The story didn't need a part 2, as they couldn't add depth and played it safe. Hope y'all are happy now, because there's no need for part 3. 4, 5 and 6 until they pie. The perfume lunching scene was a drag for me as well. Expected more from the pre-wedding and traditional wedding outfits. After referencing JP 2025, the Asibi outfit was a big no for me. I also felt that intimate white wedding scene should have been included. But above all, it was a good watch. Better than any other Nollywood wedding movies scene I've seen so far.